Hey everyone, this is Alan and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share you some tips about using Codex. So, have you ever wanted Codex to do something automatically every day, every hour, or whenever something changes? It sounds like there should be one simple automation feature, but there are actually two different ways to think about it. The first one is a scheduled task starts fresh each time. And second one is a scheduled message comes back to the same conversation. And there's one question that makes the decision surprisingly easy. That is, does the next run need the previous conversation? So in this video, I will show you exactly how to decide. So let's say uh, we simplify the whole concept. There are two types of recurring work. The first is work where every run can start from zero. That's a scheduled task. The second is work where the next run needs to know what happened before. That's a scheduled message. So don't start by asking, how often should this run? Instead, start by asking, does this run depends on what happened previously? So let's say this example. Imagine you want to Codex to give you an AI news briefing every weekday morning. The instruction could be every weekday at 8 a.m. Find the most important AI news from the previous 24 hours and give me a 5 bullet summary. Now we ask this question. Does tomorrow's briefing need today's conversation? If your answer is no, that means tomorrow we simply need the latest information and the same instructions. And today's summary doesn't need to be carried forward. So this is the scheduled task. Okay, next, let's think of a scheduled task like this. Monday creates one thread, and Tuesday creates a completely new thread, and Wednesday creates another new thread. The schedule so this schedule connects these runs, but the conversations don't need to be connected. That means everyone gets the same basic instructions and works with the information available at that moment. That's why a fresh thread is exactly what we want. That means each run stands on its own. Okay, let's check another example. Now let's look at a completely different situation. Suppose we're working on a pull request. We want Codex to check it every 30 minutes. If someone leaves a comment, respond to it. If something fails, investigate it. And once the pull request is merged, stop. So, does the next check need to know what happened previously? Of course, it needs to know which comments have already been handled, and it needs to know what failed before, and it needs to know what has changed. So that's the scheduled message because it needs to know where the investigation currently stands and everything, right? So this is a typical scheduled message. Okay, next. This is where the difference becomes really obvious. The first run discovers a failing test. The second run comes back to the same thread. It can say what was already investigated. Then a new comment appears. The third run can continue from the existing context, and the thread becomes the memory connecting the different runs. That's the key reason to use a scheduled message. That means the thread connects the work. Okay, let's test the rule with three quick examples. So first, every Friday, create a fresh summary of my calendar for next week. Okay, have a guess. Okay, let me show you the answer. This is the scheduled task. And second one, every hour watch a deployment until it succeeds. So I'll pause here, have a guess. Okay, let me show you the answer. So this is a scheduled message because the next check needs to know the current state of the deployment. Okay, let's see the third one. Every morning, give me the top six cybersecurity headlines. Okay, have a guess. Okay, let me show you the answer. And this is a scheduled task. So let's say you notice something important here, right? That is the frequency isn't what determines the type. It doesn't matter whether something runs once a day or every 5 minutes. The context is what determines the type. So here is the decision rule I want you to remember. Ask yourself, if this runs tomorrow, will H need the earlier conversation? If the answer is no, use a scheduled task. If the answer is yes, use a scheduled message. That's it. You don't need to have a complicated decision tree. Just identify where the useful context needs to live. Okay, next one. Here is a slightly harder example. Imagine you are researching potential acquisition targets. Every morning, you want Codex to continue the research, but you don't want it to start from scratch. You want it to remember which companies you've already investigated, what evidence you've found, and why certain companies were removed from the shortlist. That means the next run depends on the existing research. So again, this is a scheduled message. The important thing is it isn't simply that is this research. It's that research is cumulative. So that's why this is a scheduled message. Okay, next. There's another important part of designing an automation. Don't only tell Codex what to do, tell it when something matters. And when appropriate, tell it when to stop. So, for example, monitor the deployment every 15 minutes, right? And report when the status changes. Stop when deployment succeeds. Ask me if manual approval is required. So this is an example. And these conditions make the automation much more useful because Codex knows what counts as progress and when human input is needed. So automation is important, but we also need human approval, right? So when you design the automated workflow, this is also very important. And next, before creating an automation, I recommend answering four questions. Number one, what exactly should happen each time? And number two, how often should it happen? And number three, what change is important enough to report? And number four, when should the automation stop or ask you for input? Then ask the most important question. Does the next run need the previous thread? Once you answer that, choosing the automation type becomes much easier. Okay, next one is if you create automations frequently, you don't even need to make this decision manually every time. You can create a reusable instruction for Codex. So tell it, when I describe an automation, first determine whether each run can start fresh or needs the current thread's context. Then have it choose the appropriate workflow. This turns the decision into repeatable process rather than something you have to think about from the scratch every time. And also remember this. Let's finish with the simplest possible cheat sheet. So schedule task. Each run is independent. Think like start over. And scheduled message is each run continues previous work. Think like continue. So if you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. Fresh context means scheduled task. Existing context means scheduled message. Okay, this is our last slide. And this is also one final test. And which one would you choose? So this is your turn. Let's say every 20 minutes, check my website deployment. If it fails, investigate the error and keep monitoring it until the deployment succeeds. So this is scheduled task or scheduled message. So what's the answer and why? Okay, I'll pause and think about this. Okay, let me tell you. Because each check needs to build on what happened before, right? So that's the whole idea. Don't focus on how complicated the automation sounds. Just ask, does the next run need the previous conversation? If no, start fresh. If yes, continue the thread. So that's all the information in this video, and I hope you learned something from this video. If you like it, please subscribe and see you next time.